Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is Oston back again with another simple video on web development, still using the same framework as always, Materialize CSS. So, I want to show you the different things we can create when we are using this framework. Then, maybe in the nearby future, we shall create a full simple website having these different elements that we have been creating in this series of videos. So that's what I'm aiming at. I just want to show you the different elements or items that we can design or create using this framework. So in this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how we can create the different types of models. If you have ever worked with Bootstrap, I think you know models, what they are. These pop-up windows that are displayed to the user when they click a button. Let's say an agreement, so terms and conditions, stuff like that. You're about to delete this article, please do this, stuff like that, passing in some useful information to the users. That's what I'm going to be showing you. So what you need to be having, if you're new to my channel, you need to be having this file, Materialize CSS and the Materialize JS, so JavaScript. In case you don't have them, I'm going to leave the first link in the description. You'll be able to get a link to these files and download them just the way you are seeing mine here. So the inside file called JSON. So this is the file I'm working with. I'm using a Chromebook, that's why files are displayed like this. And the inside this folder you're seeing for JavaScript, JS, and CSS. As you can see, the way I'm referencing to them using this hyper reference. I first specify the folder and the file, folder and the file. So it depends where you will be saving or storing these files and reference to them if you want to use it. Then I put some H4 heading here, models, the one you're seeing here, models. Then I created buttons. I will later show you how we can target a model using the hank tag or the link tag. So these are buttons. And for us to give them this styling you're seeing here, I created a class btn. So that's a class in Materialize you give to give styling to the button. Then if you want to specify the color, you write the real color names. So red, green, blue. We have many, any color, mention it, leave it out. So that's the simple markup for a button. Then I'm going to create also a simple markup for a model. You're going to see it's very simple to create a markup for a model. Let me even first zoom in properly so that you see it properly. To create a model, we need to create a div. So this is the parent div. And what we need to give it is the class of model. And this same div, we are going to give it an ID attribute, and the ID is user defined, so I'm going to call mine terms. You can call yours anything, delete, let's say it's a delete button, edit, let's say it's an edit button. So these are user defined, don't misquote me. IDs are user defined, so it's you to choose what do I need to write in this ID attribute. Then inside this div, we create the children div or the child div. The children, they are going to be very many. So then we give it a class of model dash content. So this is the content you want to display to the user when they click that button or that model button that will be making it pop up. So let me just say terms and conditions. So you can put even extra information, let's say paragraphs. Hey, are you ready to work with us? So this is some fake text. You forgive me for wasting your time. Then I will create another div And what we have to give to this one is the class called modal-footer. So this is the footer where the person is going to be having two options, either to cancel or agree to those terms and conditions. So we are going to create a button here, and let's say agree. So the person will be clicking that to agree. Then I'm going to give it a class the way I styled these buttons you're seeing. So I'm going to give it a class of btn, and I want it to be teal. So it's some light green color there, something like that. Then I create another button having cancel. So when the person has refused to agree to your terms and conditions, then I'm going to give this one some two classes. So I have btn. There are going to be three classes. btn red, so it's red danger, I'm disagreeing, I'm canceling. Then it is the one supposed to close that model we shall be opening. So I'm just going to add another class called modal-close. Sorry. When I refresh this page and we click this button, nothing happens. So what we need to do for the first button here, where you see normal model, and you can see by default they make the text transform to uppercase, text style they make it uppercase. Then I'm going to create a class inside that. So I'll just, when you're writing another class, you space, say modal-trigger. So this is the one supposed to trigger this model we have written or put down here. So it's the one supposed to trigger it. So what we need to put here in this button, we say modal-trigger. Then what do you want to trigger? So we want reference to this model or div element you're seeing here. So we put an attribute called data-target. So what do we want to target? We want to target the element with the ID of terms. So this is the ID. I told you it's user defined. It's you to define it. You can call it anything you want. So basically, this is what we want. But still, when we click this, when we refresh and click this, nothing's going to happen. With Materialize, we have to initialize everything that we create on the page. So we are going to come here, open our simple script tags. So the markup is done. It's time now to initialize it. If you have watched my previous tutorial about this framework, I always tell you we create an event listener on the page. We don't want the page to run our code before the document is loaded. So we shall say document.add event listener, and the type of listener we want to listen to, it is the DOM content loaded, and we pass in a callback function or anonymous function, the way you can call it. The way you do it with jQuery, you say document.ready, something like that. Then the rest of the code is going to go in between these statements. So we don't want to run any code on the page before the DOM content or the content has loaded fully on the page. So I'm going to create a variable const. Then what can I call it? What can I call it? Let's say box. I'm just going to call it box. Sorry, weird name. And we are going to assign it to document.query selector. And what we want to select, it's the element with the class of model. So this div that has the class of model is the one we want to select. So we come here and we say model, end it with a semicolon, then we initialize it. You say m.model uppercase, so this first letter is uppercase, dot init. As I said, we are initializing it. Then we call this variable we created box, comma, so it's going to be having an object inside there full of options. At this time, if I'm to click this button, let me refresh, we should be able to see a model popping up. Very, very simple. Here, this button you're seeing cancel, we gave it modal-close. So even if we click this one, the agree, nothing happens, because I think if you're working with a server scripting language or back-end languages, you can put some queries here that the user has agreed, something like that. But for this case, the cancel, remember we gave it the class of modal-close to be able to close this model. So that's how it is simple to create a model using this framework called Materialize. Now, as you can see, there are different buttons I have shown you here. So this is the normal model element that we can create on the page. What about the one with a fixed footer? That's what I'm going to be showing you. Now I'm going to create a comment here and I say fixed footer model. So that's the HTML I've created. So I'm not going to write again the markup for the model. I'm just going to copy this, place it down here, and I'm going to change the ID. So let's say the ID here is going to be delete. Then what I am going to do also, come to the second button here we created, and I'm going to give it also the class of modal-trigger. So it's the one to trigger the model. And what model do you want to trigger? So it's this model we gave the ID of delete. So data dash target, and we want target the delete ID. I guess you're seeing how it is very easy to create these models. So right now, if I'm to click this, nothing's going to happen. Do you know why? But this one is running. In our statement here in JavaScript, we say document dot query selector. So we are first selecting the first element that has the ID of model. So they are finding this first and they are ignoring the following classes or other elements that have the same class. So for us to make this accessible everywhere, we shall add the term called all. So all elements that have the ID of model must be able to pop up as models. So I guess when I click this, it's going to come out. But right now, it is the same as this. As I said, this one, we need to make it when it's having a fixed footer. So what we are going to do is come right next after the class model, we shall say model fixed footer. So that's another class that we give to this model. Refresh, save. I guess you can see the difference. Here we get even the divider that will press our buttons below and create some large space for some extra information that will be displaying to the user. As you can see, since I called this delete and put a message like, are you sure? Are you sure you want to delete this article? Are you ready to delete with us fake? So I have to waste some extra minutes for you guys. So you can place anything you want. You can place anything you want inside these divs. Oh, sorry, guys, I'd paused the video. Even I've seen some error. Are you ready? I guess even here I made the same error. Are you ready? So I've shown you how to create a normal model, a model with a fixed footer, creating some extra room for that. You forgive me for the disorganized text. Then here, since we are talking about deleting, you can go ahead and write here delete. Why not? Choice is ours. So I've shown you these two models. Lastly, the model I want to show you is the one called the bottom sheet model. Sheet of SHEET. So bottom sheet model. Still, I'm not going to waste your time. I'm going to carry this and I like this kind of models. I normally use them in my projects. What we are going to do is remove this class you're seeing here, and we are going to also change the ID. Then I'm going to call this, what can I say, terms2. As I said, IDs are user defined. So we are going to go to the third button. Still, I'm going to give it the class of modal-trigger, and we want it to target the element with the ID. You say data target, and we want to target terms2. So this is the ID we gave to this element. Then I'm going to refresh, save, and it's the normal model that will always pop up. So for us to create the bottom sheet model, we just come to this class right next to the class of model. We shall say bottom dash sheet. Refresh and look at this. Our model comes from down. Refresh. I think you never saw it properly. Click and we get that. How awesome it is. Very, very simple. And what I'm showing you right now is how to create these models, but they have extra styling or information that we can put in them and functionality. So as right now you can see, if I open the model and I click in this space, it goes away. But even we can control this so that the user cannot be able to click here to dismiss this model. We need the user to first take either the action of deleting or cancelling. So that's what I'm going to be showing you then. Now, as I said, this is an object. After specifying our variable box, then this object takes in options. Now, the first option, as usual, we can play around with the indulation, outdulation, and the opacity. So right now, I'm going to start with the opacity. As you can see, you can still see the background around this model. But in case you don't want the user to see even a single element behind this, you can come here and put the key name, which is opacity. And these are numbers or integers. So by default, I think it's 0.6. The user can still be seeing the background, but in case we don't want the user to see the background, we set it to 1. So it's opaque. Click that. and we're having a black background. So the opacity is set to 1. The user will not be able to see anything unless he or she agrees or cancels the terms and conditions. Then that's one option that I've shown you there about these models. So let me set it to the default. Then if you want to write another option, just put a comma there, enter. Then the next option I can show you about these models, we have the indulation time, which is in milliseconds. So the time it takes when it's coming out, let me set it to 1000 and see 1000 milliseconds. When I click this, you see that time it takes in. That is the indulation. Then comma, we also have the outdulation when you're dismissing it. Let me set it to 3000. You see how slow and annoying it will be. That's the indulation, 1000 milliseconds, and the outdulation is 3000 milliseconds. But the default is always at 300 milliseconds for the indulation and 375 for the outdulation. So I think this will apply to every model because of this keyword we added here. Query selector all, stuff like that. Let me put it this side. So basically, that's some option I've shown you there. Then we want the user to click either on these options we are seeing delete or cancel than opening the model and then clicking space to dismiss it. We don't want that to happen. We want the user to take at least an action, cancel or delete. So what we are going to come here, we get the key name which is dismissible, dismissible, and it's either true, this is a boolean, true or false. So true, that's when the user is able to click in space. So this miscible is true. But if I refresh this page and I open this and I click in space, I think if you can hear me banging my PC here, nothing's happening unless until the user clicks one of these options. It's going to apply to every model because of the other keyword we made, query selector all. So the user will have to take at least one option. So there are very many options about these models you're seeing here. We have the normal model, the one with a fixed footer, and the one coming from the bottom, so bottom sheet. So guys, if I was too faster in explaining this, please feel free to download this video, rewatch it, subscribe to the channel, like the video if you have learned something from it, and I always see you in the next tutorials. So this is a very simple markup and classes that we have written to create such amazing and funny looking models. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it on different social medias. I think I'll go with this bottom stuff. I like it a lot. Peace.